The day begins with packing and getting on my bike. I cycle to the train station where I meet Oliver. And we take the train together from Gjøvik to Oslo. We've spent Easter together, and now he's heading home while I begin on my journey around Norway and the world. Cycling to the train station is short and easy, as there are bike paths all the way. The train ride takes only 2 hours from Gjøvik to Oslo, where we say goodbye. I cycle from Halden in Norway to my friend's cabin in Sweden, where I'll spend the first night. Here we see signs of early spring and enjoy a fantastic view from this idyllic cabin. Norway is just across the water. I have to push the bike up several steep hills and stop to filter water and refill. You don't really need to filter water in Norway, but I'm practicing before I travel to Asia in October and enjoying this beautiful nature we have in Norway. When you're tired, you feel a bit lonely when you're alone in the challenge with no one to share it with. I was a bit surprised by that, as the feeling of loneliness is unfamiliar to me, since I enjoy being alone. Fortunately, it was only for a short period and passed. I've been on many solo camping trips, and I'm used to it, but then I was going home again. Now, I'm on a permanent journey, and everything is different. I began to question whether I made the right choice. I began to question whether I made the right choice. This camping site doesn't open for another month, but Tor Harald, the owner, lets me stay here for 2 days. The next day starts with nice weather in this lovely place. You're not allowed to have loud parties here. It's a quiet and family-friendly camping site. I spend this day just cooking and resting, baking bread for breakfast and making calzone from last night's dinner, and talk a lot with Tor Harald. I talk a lot with Tor Harald and a guest who helps him, and his name is Arnt. When I continue cycling, I feel that my body and mentality are much better. It's much easier to cycle and enjoy the rest of the days, even though it's now starting to snow. And it's full winter. This gives me adventures I wouldn't have had otherwise. The landscape goes from spring to winter. But it's important to take time to look at such beautiful animals even in this weather. To avoid setting up the tent in the snow, I found an old shed in the forest. I turned this into my home for the night. After a long day and the sun soon setting, I couldn't find any places to pitch the tent. I took a chance and knocked on a farmer's door and asked if I could pitch the tent in his yard. He said yes, but that I could also just lay in the barn. I accepted, and once again, I'm impressed by the generosity people show to a stranger. Thanks to all of you who makes this a positive adventure for me. The next day, I cycle to Oslo, where I'll stay with family and friends since I'm going to the hospital for treatment of my illness. I start to push my bike without taking off the panniers, because I want to try to push my bike and see if I don't have to go back and forth many times. And the toughest part is actually just in the beginning, and it's very short. I struggle a bit, but I managed, and after that, everything is much easier. I just travel along and enjoying this nice weather and my time in the forest. And for the last stretch, I actually have to push my bike through a swamp, because the black grouse mating game is always in a swamp. And that is actually quite wet and hard, but it's quite manageable. And when I finally arrived, luckily I can see that I'm all alone. So now I can actually reserve the space for me and for my brother-in-law and his brother for the next night. And while I am there, I'm just preparing myself to look at this mating game all alone for the first night. And I really enjoy this view, this nice weather. And there are some rules when you want to see the black grouse mating games, because you have to hide before 9 o'clock in the evening, and you cannot go out of your tent or whatever you are in before the mating game is over one time at 7 or 9 o'clock in the morning. So that means that you cannot go to the toilet. And my strategy is not to drink any water or coffee, especially coffee after 12 o'clock, and some water, but minimum, so that I don't need to go to the toilet in the middle of the night. Because if you go out on the toilet, they will see you and they will not come back again. The mating games usually starts around 4:30 in the morning. And then you can just see the roosters, the black grouse roosters, are then having this mating game. And the black grouse hens, they are just sitting around in the trees, just observing and to see which rooster they want to mate with in the end. And for the second night, I get visited by my brother-in-law and his brother. And his brother, he has never been on this type of activity before, so this is his first time. But for the second night, it wasn't as good as the night before, so that's why I didn't film anything, because I was so satisfied with the first night. But we had a very nice time together, and they joined me a part of the way out of the forest, and they helped me to push the bike where it was a little bit tough. But we had a very nice time together, and we all were happy and satisfied. And now I'm heading towards Vigelandsparken, the famous sculpture park in Norway. Vigelandsparken is a very nice place just to go for a walk. Many people use this park just for strolling, going with their dogs, because the scenery here is quite beautiful and there are many trails all over the place. And in summertime there is so much flowers and everything, and it's quite spectacular actually. And the most known sculpture is this grumpy kid. Many people think that it brings good luck by holding his hand, but that actually ruins this sculpture. And Vigelandsparken is actually the world's largest sculpture park made by only one artist. And now I'm actually biking through this park for the first time. And maybe it's actually the last time I'm in this park, because I have been here many times since this is my hometown. But now I'm traveling on a world tour, so maybe this is my last time. Today I woke up and I was reminded that this is still spring. We are still in April. Because I had some frost all over my tent. And still, I had a very nice beginning of the day. It was sunny and it got to be very warm during the day. Here you see the ferries that you can buy tickets to and take the boat up the Telemark's canal. And I biked a little bit under 30 kilometers before I got to the beginning of the Telemark canal. When I came there, I made some lunch in the park while I was airing and drying the tent and all the equipment from tonight. And after lunch, I used the opportunity to try out this slide in this very special statue in Porsgrunn before I continue my journey up the Telemark canal. Today I didn't bike more than 48 kilometers, and I pitched a tent before 4 o'clock, and it was a very nice wild camp. Every day I like to just sit down and write my diary, so I don't forget what I have been doing, so it will be easier to make these kind of episodes. And also to just enjoy this quiet time in nature. And today I could feel in my body that I was very tired. It was a lot of terrain, a lot of hills, and that was also very draining for my body. And I was really struggling due to my fatigue. So now I'm trying to see if I'm able to take some time off the bike. And I found out that not far from here, I was able to actually book a night indoor. And this house that I booked, it's called the Lockkeeper's Residence. And I have the whole house completely for myself. That's because the season hasn't started yet. so I could pick and choose which room I wanted to stay in. And I was so happy that I was now indoor, prepare a meal, and just relax. This house is right next to a boat lock, and this area is called Vrangfoss Lock. And this is one of the boat locks that is quite far down the Telemark canal. And for the rest of the day, I was just sitting and catching up on editing and writing my daily journal. The next day, I packed up my gear and I biked 50 meters up to the reception area where I took a cup of coffee together with the owners. And while I was sitting there, I felt my fatigue hit me so hard. So then I asked if it was okay for me to stay there for one more night. They said yes. So the rest of the day I used to look at the lock and watched a working boat while it was on its way up the locks. That was the first time in my life that I have actually watched this in real life. And I was quite surprised that it only takes approximately 30 minutes from the bottom to the top. And after I had watched the whole process with all the locks, then I went back home to the house and I started to play a ukulele. Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now you should have somehow realized what you got to do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. And backbeat, the word is on the street that the fire in your heart is out. I'm sure you heard it all before, but you never really had a doubt. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. And all the roads we have to walk are winding. All the lights that leads us there are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. Because maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my wonderwall. And while I'm at camp, I prepare my bike for the climb tomorrow. It's better to be safe than sorry, especially since this average incline is at 11%. So it's going to be quite steep the first 5 kilometers of today. And I have to do switchback on my bike all the way up, but it was surprisingly easy, and I think that is due to that I didn't push on yesterday, that I rested for the night and then do the climbing today. And as you can see, the first 5.3 kilometers I had an elevation of 267 meters and with an average speed of 5 kilometers an hour. I'm so proud and I'm so happy that I can see my capacity on the bike has increased a lot. Today I did a lot of climbing. It has been a sunny day. I have seen waterfalls, epic views. This is one of the nicest days yet on my journey. When I start this day on the bike, I can feel that my body is so tired from yesterday's climbing and the 82 kilometers. But today I only have to bike for 32 kilometers, and that feels very okay today. And now I'm on my way to spend 3 days with family in Kristiansand. And I'm really looking forward to meet them again and have 3 days off the bike. And today I'm heading from Kristiansand at least to Mandal. That is approximately 50 kilometers. And the terrain today, it's quite tough because it's constant up and down. But the view is amazing, so it's worth it, especially since I have all the time in the world. Now I'm actually about to reach one very important milestone. I'm actually about to reach 1,000 kilometers. Look here. Now I reached 1,000 kilometers. That's a huge milestone on this tour. I'm so happy. A little change of plans. I'm actually so happy because the milestone that I call ahead and booked me a place on a camping site. Because now I actually want to take a shower and eat out. Now I'm at Sjøsanden camping in Mandal. Have just taken a shower and now I'm walking approximately 10 minutes walk into town to buy me some dinner to celebrate. This is actually a very nice area. It's very quiet and very nice view in the forest and right next to Mandal city. Up there is the lighthouse, Lindesnes, but you are not capable of taking your bike all the way up there. So this is actually as far as you're able to bike south in Norway. That is actually quite cool. So let's just walk up to the lighthouse. Now this is the lighthouse, and now you can see just straight into the North Sea. It's quite windy. Now I have to push the bike because in a little bit over 5 kilometers I have to climb 311 meters, and this is a heavily trafficked narrow road. So I don't like being alongside this road, especially on the bike. I'm just trying to be as far to the side as I can.
for the last kilometers. It has been more or less 10 to 16% incline. And today it feels like I have been constantly uphill all day. I've had some downhill, but today is a climbing day. So I will not reach 50 kilometers today. I think because the last stretch now, it has really drained my body. Maybe it will feel different when I reach the top and get some rest on some flats and downhill. But right now, it is rough. While I'm talking right now, I'm at 16%. It never shows on video. But for those who follow me on Strava, you will see the profile of the terrain. It just goes straight up and straight down all day long. Now, as you can see, here the road ends. That means that my biking computer has shown me the wrong path. Now it actually wants to take me on trails through the forest and over the mountains, and no chance with this heavy bike. So now I think I just need to find a place to pitch the tent around here so I can backtrack a bit tomorrow and continue the journey. So this is the way of life with bikepacking. Sometimes you take the wrong turn and you need to bike 100 meters, kilometers, or sometimes 20 kilometers to backtrack. So I actually will call this a lucky mistake, because look at my view from my tent. God damn, that was too close. Oh, now I'm off the highway again. I actually have to gather myself right now because that was freaking scary. Some people just don't consider other people's safety. But now I'm off the road and this is so much better. Oh, it's tougher to cycle, but now you can see why I actually prefer this. I have to admit something. I peed myself. I'm just kidding. It's because of all the climbing and all the sweating, and when I'm leaning forward, all the sweat just goes in the front. It was not because of the trailer and the close encounter. Now I had to bike out on the road again. Let's hope I don't experience again. Why? Yeah, you see, you hear, they agree. God damn. Oh, this is not funny. Now I'm walking to site 1 out of 3 today. This is a mountain that is almost 200 meters above sea level, and also it's a hole in the mountain that I want to see. So it's not a long hike, though it's steep to begin with, but it's approximately just a little bit over 1.5 kilometers, so it's easy. a very funny thing just happened to me, and I'm just laughing. Right after I stopped vlogging, a man just shouted to me from a house next by the road and invited me in for a beer. And I just said, can I just fill some water? And while I was up there, there were like two guys, two friends. They were just sitting there and drinking beer in the sun. And while we were just sitting there and talking, suddenly I started to drink beer. One beer after the other, and some wine. And after a couple of hours, I suddenly realized I need to move on. So now, but it was actually quite hard to leave those guys, because they were so generous and so funny, and we shared stories, we laughed a lot, and oh man, I had just had a really nice time with those guys. I like those guys, and I wish them the best, and thank you so much for providing me with water, stories, and a lot of alcohol. There is the first place I want to visit, those houses that is built actually underneath the mountain, and then up in some tunnels and some caves up there, and there I'm going to drink my coffee and eat some breakfast. There has been houses underneath this mountain since 1745. And both of these two houses that remains today are from the 1800s. The White House that they call the Blue House is the oldest. This tunnel in the mountain is so cool. On the right side is a tunnel only for cars, and on the left side is only for pedestrians and bikers. And just to bike through this tunnel with this amazing view, it was just so fascinating. So then I just decided to eat my lunch in this tunnel. I actually feel so well rested today, and also it's a quite easy terrain today as well. So now I'm not going to do the same mistake that I usually do on days like this. Because everything goes so smooth, then I usually just push on and take advantage of those days. But now I'm just going to try another strategy. Though everything feels so smooth today, I'm still just going to take it slow and not push it any further than I've already thought of biking today. Maybe that will make everything easier in the long run. Right now I'm just enjoying everything, stopping quite often just to take pictures, filming, enjoying the scenery, the weather. Yesterday was actually quite rough fatigue day for me. I like being very social the last week, and then my symptoms catch me up. So then, when I set up camp in the afternoon yesterday, I was just lying inside my tent all day because I was so tired. It was actually quite nice, and today it feels just so much better. It's still too early to say how the day will go, but still, right now it feels like I did the right thing yesterday. So that's how it is to be sick. Sometimes we can't do anything. And sometimes the right thing to do is actually to do something. So this is like a constant battle for the rest of my life, just to find the balance. I just sat down to eat some lunch and dry the tent and air the sleeping mattress and everything. And I was trying to fix some issues with the bike. Then I discovered this bolt is ruined. So now I'm stuck here. It never ends. But that's the way of this life. You need to actually take care of all the equipment all the time, because or else this will happen. And I think this was my fault. Either I actually tightened it too hard, or I didn't tighten it enough. So when it vibrated, I think that maybe ruined the bolt. So now I have actually called my friend in Stavanger, and he's so nice. He's actually now driving here right now to pick me up, so I can stay at his place, so I can fix my bike, because all the stores are closed today. So tomorrow in Stavanger I have to go and buy new spare parts to the bike. And thank you, Rojarne, to be my rescue right now. I needed this. When you're out bikepacking, you have to prepare yourself for bike maintenance. So right now, I have to start to learn something I have never done before. Because now my spokes, as you can see, many of them are quite loose. But luckily, I have just bought myself tools to actually do this type of thing. So yeah, I actually have to do this because a lot of them are too loose. If I don't do this, I'm afraid everything will get ruined. I can't bike further when it's like this. actually very happy since I actually managed to fix my spokes. So now I actually can continue biking. And I did this without YouTube. I just used common sense and it was actually quite easy. Now I'm just preparing my bike and waiting out this rain. It's not much, but it's going to stop very soon anyway, so. This type of lifestyle would have been easier if I had somebody to share this journey with. But still, if you want to follow your dreams or have some hobbies you want to do, you have to do everything, plan everything alone and take it as a bonus if somebody joins along the way. I don't feel lonely on this journey, but it's hard to say goodbye to people you are starting to like and you're having such a good time with. It's a huge difference to travel alone and being lonely. Because I'm experiencing new things, meeting new people, learning something new along the way, and I'm quite entertained, so I'm not feeling lonely. But it's still hard to say goodbye and travel on alone. Something quite funny just happened. When I look at the time schedule for the ferries, when I were on my second dock, I took the ferry that was right on time when my ferry was going to the next dock. And after a while, I started to recognize that, oh, this ferry is actually going the wrong way. And it turned out that that ferry was going in the opposite direction and was heading from the dock where I was heading to. So then I tried to find out what to do. What options did I have? And all the options was to jump off on another dock, and then I would take a whole day to get to where I was actually heading. But now I decided that I took this ferry to the last stop. That is actually Sauda in Norway. And then when I was looking at the map, I discovered that that is actually not a bad decision actually to start biking from Sauda, because then I start biking earlier than I was actually going to do from the other place, and it's actually shorter to Oslo. So because I did something wrong, it was actually better than my first plan. So yet again, with this lifestyle, and you don't have that many plans and room for a lot of different happenings along the way. Ah, it's so nice. You can actually make something wrong to be right. It's so nice to do something like this and just be open for whatever comes. And now I actually have to find out what else I actually want to do on this new route. And the scenery here is so nice. Surrounded by mountains. Although the weather isn't that nice, but still to see the heavy clouds just scraping the mountaintops is actually a spectacular scenery. Now I decided to not push onto the top of the mountain. I still have 5.5 kilometers left, but I hear so much noise in my bike, so I know that, okay, let's just lube things up before I continue. And the weather is nice and clear, so while I prepare myself some dinner, no, some lunch, and dry my gear, I can do some maintenance on my bike and just enjoy this nice view, a typical Norwegian mountain view. It's not the worst place to eat your lunch and just put out my gear all over there to dry out. And now I'm going to enjoy this. Now I can see the bottom. Now it's downhill from here. And now I'm on 979 meters above sea level. And I'm still not too tired to carry on. But I needed to do this update before the descent. Because of my reduced cognitive abilities, maybe I would have forgotten that I was up on 979 meters above sea level. So now it's the fun part. Downhill for the long part. Whew. So this is the highest mountain I have been on yet. As you can see, it's raining outside right now. And what to do while it's raining? Then you just brew yourself some coffee and make yourself some oatmeal for breakfast and just wait out the rain, because the weather forecast says it's going to stop within 3 hours, and I don't have to check out before 3.5 hours, and I don't have any specific time schedule, so I can just sit here and wait out the rain where it's warm and dry. you can see, this road is quite busy. Campers, trailers, cars. So I'll just stay here for a little bit to see if I can hike someone over this mountain, because I don't feel safe right now biking up here, especially in this climbing part, because I go so slow and they are driving so fast. So let's see if I get lucky. After 1 hour trying to hitchhike and with no response, I decided to just bike down back to the campsite again and use the rest of this day to try to figure out how I can move on. See if there are some public transportation I can take over this mountain, because I don't feel safe on this busy highway. And since there is a lot of climb yet to come, or I can meet somebody at the campsite that is willing to transport me over this mountain, or I can study the map to see if I had some other alternatives, some other roads that is not a highway. Let's hope so. Tomorrow I will take my first bus on this trip. I have talked to the locals here and they told me that there are some tunnel maintenance up on the mountain. So all the heavy traffic is now rerouted on the smaller old roads. So that means that even though I would have like pushed myself further up today, it wouldn't have been over for me. But I have also spoken to my uncle, and he told me that if I just take the bus up to a special place on top of the mountain, I will have a very nice scenery and I will then avoid all the heavy traffic. So by listening to the locals and to my uncle, everything has worked out. So tomorrow I will start my day by taking the bus. And now I will just enjoy this scenery. I'm so glad that I took the bus and skipped that climbing part of the mountain, yeah, the scenery would have been amazing to bike through, but due to the tunnel works maintenance, the roads that I was supposed to bike, you can see that all the traffic was routed in those small old roads, and there had been no space for me and the heavy trucks and buses, so that would have been a nightmare. But now I'm just biking alongside this main road. I'm still enjoying the scenery on top of the mountain. Yes, now I'm over 1,000 meters above sea level, so this is the highest I have been yet, but I haven't climbed it myself, but that's because safety first, always. I'm really enjoying to travel like this in slow motion. But sometimes it can feel a little bit reluctant to actually continue the journey, especially after you have like had some tough days or weeks on the bike, and when you have been off the bike for a while, and then when you are continuing, that is your last memory. But when you have like a couple of nice days that I have had right now, then this feels more natural, and this is why I'm traveling. Now I'm heading towards Oslo to spend some time with my boys. And on the way there, tomorrow, I will visit an old friend of mine from where I grew up that I also haven't seen in 25 years plus. So I really love this journey to reconnect with old friends and to talk about the old times and to see how they have developed and where they are now in their lives. That gives me so much joy. Now I'm entering a military shooting range area where they have a lot of exercises, and because of my own safety I just called a number on the bottom of that sign and called them to see if it was safe for me to pass their shooting area, and they have no activity right now, so I had to be sure for my own safety. This is my first time entering as a civilian. Now I just passed a milestone of 2,000 kilometers yet on my journey. That is amazing to have passed my first 2,000 kilometers. I'm so happy. Now Google Maps just told me to take a left here and just follow the road on the other side of the tracks. And as you can see, there are no roads. So now I need to backtrack for 10 kilometers to choose another route. Luckily, I don't have any stress, so it's okay.